conservative leverage provides stability and control. Executing with razor-sharp underwriting